the key major asks, your main focus. From the statement you issued, you were looking at the theme Give to Gain, but also we know there's a national theme that is called Scaling Up Investment to Accelerate Access to Justice for All Women and Girls in Uganda. And your arguments seem to be focusing mainly on issues of GBV, sexual offenses, among others. So let's focus a little bit in that particular area. What is your major call as a women movement during this period? What are some of the things we need to reflect back and address to ensure that women can access justice?
So I think our focus was heavily around gender-based violence, largely because civil society organizations have been carrying the weight of gender-based violence interventions within the country. People who have been running shelters. Shelters are safe places where women who have suffered sexual gender-based violence can go to get away from a hostile relationship, to get away from a violent situation, and get counseling, be prepared for court, and be rehabilitated until they are reintegrated in society. It is civil society that has been running most of these shelters. Things like legal aid. It is civil society that has been providing legal aid to victims or survivors of GBV. Like, civil society has been carrying the bulk in terms of community dialogues around GBV and all those things. And right now we are facing a lot of shrinking civic space, but also a lot of funding cuts. These cuts are not just to civil society, but also to the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, who no longer have money to sustain a lot of these interventions that are supposed to happen. So we wanted to throw light on this so that people can wake up and be able to know that, oh no, now that we have a gap and civil society is going to withdraw, how are we now going to come in and now increase funding for some of the GBV work that has been done? I know shelters in Busoga that have been closed, in Jinja that have been closed because they no longer have money. People have stopped providing legal aid services because they no longer have money. And this shrinking funding is coming from the US, who have now decided to bomb the whole world rather than putting the world together. So they have to prioritize the purchase of weapons rather than funding maybe some of our GBV work. And of course, now they have bombed the whole world and threatened Europe. And Europe is also saying, maybe we have to also protect ourselves. They are also withdrawing a lot of funding. So we may look at civil society and say, but what are those people doing? They are noisemakers. But there is a lot of work that we do in terms of aiding the government to carry out its mandate. So that is one of our critical calls that we have, to increase funding, especially to address gender-based violence in our country.
But what is the situation when it comes to GBV in Uganda? What statistics do you have to convince us that it's a very important issue that we need actually to focus on?
GBV is an epidemic. It's an epidemic. It's an epidemic in this country. There was a study that was released where they noted that Africa has some of the most cases of pedophilia. People who like sleeping with little children. Okay, not little children. People Babies. Who are below 18. Who are below 18 years of age. Yeah. So some of the statistics that we have, I wrote them here so that I even don't get it wrong. So when you look at the annual police crimes report that was released in 2024, we are waiting for the one of 2025, but we have the statistics for 2024. It will show you that 14,000 cases of domestic violence were reported in 2024 alone. And what this translates into is that we have over 39 people every single day who suffer from domestic violence. Domestic violence, they have refused to look after the children and abandoned me with them. All of them are bundled up under domestic violence cases. We'll also see that over 1,600 cases of rape were reported in 2024 alone, and we also see that over 12,000 cases of defilement were reported in 2024 alone. These translate into 34 children every single day being defiled by human beings who are walking amongst us in the street. So every 100 people you see, 34 have defiled someone. or 34 have been defiled. So there is a problem that we have, an epidemic that we have. You'll find that over 56% of women will report that they have suffered some form of intimate partner violence. So we have a big problem of violence. Sexual crimes are such a huge challenge in this country. But now when you go to see, okay, these cases have been reported, how many of them have made it to court? Out of all the ones that I have read, only 11% have made it to court.
Why is that the case? And that brings in that aspect of access to justice. What are the hindrances? Why are we not seeing action being taken in that particular front?
And that is where now the problems start coming in. Because the enforcement of the way the laws are being enforced, they are laws that are being enforced in order just to punish perpetrators. They are not laws that are being enforced in order to protect survivors. Number one, we do not have sufficient funding for our enforcement mechanisms. You go to police to report a case of defilement or rape or domestic violence. The first thing they'll say, oh, give us fuel, we go and visit the crime scene.
That was ancient. Things have
It is
changed.
still there. Up to now, they ask for fuel in order to be able to go and visit the crime scene. Okay, now you have given 50,000. Then they say, oh, now we need a medical report. Please pay 50,000 so that the doctor can check you. Already you have spent 100,000 shillings. Then you must transport your own witnesses to the police station. They are not going to come for free. Again, that is money. And as you're dealing with that, you're not offering any form of counseling to these people who have survived this violence. So you'll talk to many women, they'll give up along the way. Why? Because they feel traumatized by the entire situation. And even when they go to court, they are told to stand in the dock in front of everyone and tell their story. Oh, how many times did he do it? Where were you looking? Where was your leg? And all that, you're supposed to tell it to the public. One of the most traumatic things that happened to you. Then afterwards, the defense counsel stands up and say, how many sexual partners have you had? Aren't you a malaya? Like, the whole process just becomes grueling on the survivor.
All right.
The other is because usually these women are arguing these cases from the place where it happened. So you find maybe it's a relative, it's someone they know, they live in the same community, they know the same people, they are friends to the same people. So now the family starts pressurizing them. Musonyiwe, forgive them, they will never repeat it. What? They offer you some money and you say, Banak, instead of suffering all this, why don't I leave it?
All right, Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90. We're going to go for a break. When we return, well, thank you so much for staying with us on Spectrum Live on Radio 1 FM 90. A topic of discussion today, we are looking at how Uganda can scale up access to justice for women and girls. And my guest is Ms. Rose Wakikona. She's a lawyer and a Deputy Executive Director at the Women's Probono Initiative, one of the civil society organizations that are advocating for the rights of women in our country. Do feel free to share with us your thoughts by the WhatsApp line 0703 090 090, and we'll be sampling some of the comments in a few minutes. So, Rose, one other particular component of access to justice is the ability of the laws in place to punish, but also to deter such offenses to actually work. Now, we have looked at gender-based violence, which encompasses so many things, including domestic violence. We know we have a law in place, that Domestic Violence Act, which was passed. We have law on FGM. The law is also there about defilement cases, sexual offenses. Although I've heard not long ago, you people were demanding for Parliament to do something about what they call the Sexual Offences Bill. But let's hear from you. Isn't the legal regime sufficient? And if it is, what is the gap? What's happening? Why are we not seeing action being taken?
So the legal regime is, I can say, about 60% there. Ever since they passed the 1995 Constitution and they introduced Article 33 on the rights of women, recognizing them as equal human beings in society, the law has tried to catch up with the provisions of Article 33. And we have seen, as you have said, a lot of strides being made in trying to pass laws that address the issues of women as and when they come up. They have amended also the Succession Act severally in order to cater and make sure that women are able to succeed. They have amended the Land Act where they say now you must consent before you sell property of which is matrimonial property. So a lot has been done in terms of putting, but then there are still some laws which are very colonial and they are very archaic. And these laws are laws that touch especially the family. You know, we like to deal with laws where women are in the public space. Employment Act, oh, give them maternity leave. Let them go and look after their children when they are participating in the public sphere. But those laws that deal with the private space, where we are talking about intimate relationships, we are talking about families, people don't want to touch those laws because they will liberate women even in the private space. And unfortunately, society wants men to maintain dominance within the family. Some of the laws that are archaic is the Marriage Act. The Marriage Act was passed in 1904. Up to now, we are still in that. The colonialists left it for us. We are still embracing the same law. You look at the Divorce Act, still 1904, very old law. But still, we want to hold on to it. And these are laws that re-entrench patriarchy. They don't deal with the question of marital property, which up to now we are still struggling with. People are divorcing left, right, and center. For every 10 couples you see, 4 are going to divorce. But
is that so?
Yes. But we don't want to deal with the reality of divorces within our society. We don't want to afford dignity to divorcing couples. We want them to divorce in a way that is combative and tell them you must demonstrate reasons why. Did I tell you reasons why I married before I tell you reasons why I'm divorcing? If I'm not giving you reasons why I married, then please kindly allow me to divorce the way I want.
To get out.
Exactly. It should be easier entry, easier exit. Let us allow people to divorce with dignity in a way that's not combative.
Exiting, that's where the problem is, because there are issues of property, there are issues of the issues, what they call the issues, the children, you know, so they are very critical issues. It shouldn't be an easy way out.
You know, when you're dealing with divorces, people never come to my office when they haven't settled on the question of divorce. Very few come when they are contesting a divorce. The 2 primary questions that they are going to take to court is number 1, property, number 2, children. So you have to settle those issues in law and provide the standard that then judicial officers can use to apply and support couples. But now the law wants you to start by questioning something that people are not questioning in the first place, which is the divorce. So they want you to go, he cheated on me, he had the woman's underwears, the picture, the video, what? Then you waste a lot of time, and yet it is not in contention that the two people are tired of each other. They want to separate. But now the law wastes a lot of time in determining whether or not you should divorce, but fails to provide for things like, how do you, okay, if I've allowed you to divorce, how do we resolve the question of matrimonial property? Right now it's unanswered. The judges have tried to put forth some things, but then they apply the standards in an uneven way. It depends on which judge you go before and how you make them happy. So these laws are so archaic. Another law that we have which is extremely archaic is the Penal Code Act, which criminalizes things like sex work. Our women are busy on the street serving their customers. You want to arrest them and put them in jail.
Public morality.
Why?
Public morality.
Whose morality has disturbed you? These are 2 consenting adults. Why are you stressing them? Instead, we need to regulate sex work. But now for you to come and say, oh, let us throw all the sex workers in jail, who is it going to help? They will come out and instead go back to their work. What alternatives have you provided for women to also participate in the commercial sector without resorting to sex work? So
PDM.
Now PDM, how many people are getting money from PDM? You know, you have to be aligned with the particular political powers before.
Not really. Now, that is a myth.
It is not a myth.
You just have to belong to a parish and belong to a circle.
No. The circle must have alignment with particular parties. And that is one of the failings that we are having in this state, that in order to benefit from the social services and the resources of the state, you must align to a particular political party, which is the NRM. If you're outside, you're not going to get. We also actually had a circle that was set up by sex workers in Kampala here, and they tried to apply for PDM money. And they turned them away and told them, you people, you are doing bad manners. Why if you come for our money? So they were chased away. So the Penal Code Act within itself, it in a way has provisions, but also this is an act that was passed in 1954. So this particular act is also problematic. I also already talked about some of the laws that we have and the gaps that exist within them that have failed women in terms of them trying to access justice at a broader level. So our laws are a bit there, but they are also not quite there. The other big issue we have is around the enforcement of these laws. We have very weak, and I think this is a problem that goes across the board. Our judiciary, Oba is dying, Oba has died, I don't know, one of the two. Either it is dying or it has died. But they are not exercising justice to the level that we expect them to. Right now, they are just pandering to the whims of the government and are not taking care of making sure that they are dispensing justice as they should. They are not prioritizing cases that they perhaps should be able to prioritize. So our enforcement mechanisms are so weak. Our police is always crying that they don't have money. Why doesn't the government give our police money? Why doesn't it give money to the prosecutors to be able to prosecute some of these cases and do whatever it is that they need to do to make sure that our justice systems work? People have lost faith in our enforcement mechanisms, and this is because they are not working. We have too much case backlog. Our police is lax in collecting evidence. Like you find a case and it is so weak, even you yourself, you say, but what is going on with our country? So our laws have a problem of, they are not quite there yet. I think we need more in terms of the bills that we have proposed to Parliament, but also the enforcement arm needs to be strengthened.
All right, Spectrum already 1 FM.